If you're doing between 10 and 50K a month and growth feels slower, harder, and more frustrating than it actually should, fix this immediately, because what I'm about to share, if you don't fix it, you will spend another 12 months working harder, taking more calls, fulfilling clients, carrying more stress, having more pressure on top of you without seeing the growth that you're currently trying to actually chase so much. You see, most founders think that they need more leads, they maybe need better ads, better content, a new funnel, a new CRM, a new software, a new AI tool, maybe a new hire, a closer, a setter, a VA, another course, another membership. But have you ever thought that, what if none of those are actually the problem? What if the thing that's holding your business back isn't what you actually think it is? So in today's video, I'm going to show you the real reason most businesses stop growing and the framework I use to identify exactly what is limiting the actual growth. By the end of this video, you will know where your business is stuck and what is actually causing it, and what needs to happen next if you want predictable growth inside of your business. And I want you to stay till end of this video, because the final lesson is the mistake that keeps most founders trapped for years. One of the biggest lies in business is this: if I just get more leads, everything will automatically improve. In reality, that's not actually truth. You see, more leads don't fix broken businesses, and more leads actually are amplifying broken businesses. And here's the truth. I believed also that more leads will eventually bring me more sales calls. More sales calls will eventually give me more revenue. More revenue will eventually help me to expand my team. More team and a bigger team basically means I can start scaling my business. But in reality, that's not actually truth. You see, the problem is this: if you get more leads but you have a weak sales process, then eventually more leads didn't solve your problem. If you have more leads, you are good at sales, you get more clients, but your delivery is really weak, it didn't solve the problem. If you have a team, but you can't really train your team and you don't know what type of training process and what thinking process and decision-making process and SOPs go inside of your business, it becomes really hard to actually scale your business. So leads are not the actual problem. You need to look much deeper than just actual leads. You see, if your sales process is weak, more leads won't actually fix it. If your delivery is inconsistent, more leads won't fix it. If your team lacks accountability, more leads will not fix the actual problem. The real reason your business isn't growing is because you are solving the wrong problem currently inside of your business. Today, I want to teach you how to identify the real actual problem. You see, the biggest mistake founders make is this. Most founders diagnose symptoms, not bottlenecks. They were like, hey, I currently feel like we could get more revenue. I feel like we have a leads problem, because by getting more leads, I will have more revenue, because we are losing currently revenue because a lot of people are leaving, they're not happy. So that's a symptom. When somebody is not happy in your fulfillment process, that means you have a delivery problem. And sometimes we try to really hide it and say, well, if we get just more leads, we can replace the clients that we are already had, but they are currently leaving, so we can replace them. Okay? But the problem is not that you need more leads, you need to actually fix the fulfillment systems. Okay? So symptoms sound like revenue is down, leads are down, sales are down, team performance is down. But those aren't the actual problems. Those are outcomes. The real question is, what is causing that specific outcome? I want you to think like an actual business architect. You need to look deeper than just the actual symptoms itself. I want you to really ask yourself, if you currently have sales down, what is actually causing for sales to come down? What is causing for team performance to come down? What is causing for revenue to be down? What is causing for leads to come down as well? Okay? Because if you solve the wrong problem, growth stays actually stuck. The business growth framework, okay? Every business problem falls into one of four categories. So we have demand. Can we consistently create actual opportunities? Then we have conversion. Can we consistently convert opportunities into actual clients? Then we have delivery. Can we consistently deliver actual results? Then we have decision. Can we consistently make good decisions and lead effectively? Okay? So the solution looks like this. Growth equals demand and conversion and delivery and decision all multiplied together. If one breaks, growth breaks as well. So growth is not just, hey, let's just increase demand. Growth means you have demand, conversion, delivery, and decision all working together, making growth happen. Okay? So Let's talk about demand problems, right? That's the section 1. So demand problems. Most founders immediately assume that I need more leads. Sometimes they are right and they need more leads to create more opportunities because then more opportunities will lead to actual sales. But sometimes they're wrong, and often they're actually wrong. 80% of the time, speaking to a lot of founders, I found that they are wrong. Symptoms are like not enough conversations, empty calendar, revenue fluctuates, and feast and famine cycles. Okay, so common cause is no predictable client acquisition architecture. Solution framework is this: you get traffic, so you can run meta ads, you can run them to a VSL, or you can just capture leads yourself. So you have traffic, lead capture, appointments, sales calls, and clients. So I'm gonna give you a couple models that what you can actually do to solve a problem if you have a demand problem. Okay, so one is cold email. I have spoke about this before. You can have a lead list, which is an email list. So meaning you can go to Apollo. I would strongly recommend Apollo. I have tried most of them. I have heard about most of them. I would strongly recommend Apollo. Now, you can have Apollo. You can really filter a lot of good potential leads there, cold leads. Then you can enrich the data with a LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can use an email system, what's called Instantly. You can send out emails. You can test different type of copy. Now, because you have Claude and you have ChatGPT, you can work with them and they will help you to really get better with copy as well. And then from there, you can start booking actual appointments. Then once you start to have booking appointments, you can have more sales calls and you can have more revenue. Cold email is something that actually can scale easily to 500K per month. But you have to be really good at writing copy. There's a lot of variables that go into actually having a good cold outbound email system. Some of them would be actual subject lines, copy, knowing how to actually respond, follow-ups, so on and so forth. So you need to know the actual game around email. But the best thing is you can actually learn it. If I was you and you couldn't be like, hey, I'm struggling with my demand, then I would build a cold email system. The next one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really powerful. You can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can request a lot of connections. You can start DMing, and then you can start setting appointments, and then you go from actual sales calls. Now, another thing with this is you can even hire a commission-based appointment setter on LinkedIn that will do all the outreach for you, and you just give him percentage of the revenue you generate from the appointments he actually gives you, okay, if they close. Next one is YouTube. Now, YouTube is something, obviously you watching this video on YouTube, but YouTube takes time. It's like, I'm currently sitting on, let's say, in future, obviously, we're currently in 2026, I'm not getting more than, let's say, 20 to 50 views, okay? But I have started only the YouTube channel a couple months back. The best thing about YouTube is this, that it's a long-term game, it's a long-term strategy. So eventually your channel will scale because the game is here long-term. Whereas like for Instagram, for example, Instagram, you get instant views, but it's not like a growing video in future or long term. YouTube has better retention and better long-term actual growth when you're talking about actual social media platforms. So you can have YouTube because YouTube also brings a lot of authority because you are building a long form content. So from YouTube, you can send people to actual lead magnet, you can get an application filled out, and then you can book them on sales calls. Sales calls coming in from YouTube will be much better because they will be already nurtured. They have been watching your content. They already know that you have authority in the actual space as well, and they will be more happily to do business with you. The goal here is predictable appointments, not just random leads. Because sometimes we focus on leads, but the leads are not appointments. What we want to create revenue generating opportunities. Revenue generating opportunities only come when you can actually get a interested lead, prospect into actual sales call. You need to get that lead into a buying actual opportunity. Once you can place them in a buying opportunity, you have an opportunity to close them and generate actual revenue, okay? So let's move on to section number 2, which is conversion problems. This is where most founders misdiagnose. They say, we need more leads. And sometimes you would say like, hey, I need more qualified leads. I'm gonna give you a couple examples, but they already have leads. They are just not converting. Symptoms is this: you're getting a lot of calls, low close rates, price objections, prospects ghosting you. And common cause is this: weak positioning, okay, weak offer, or weak actual sales process as well. Sometimes it could be that you have weak offer and it doesn't drive a lot of demand through. And even if you get some demand, you get some calls, it's like still kind of 50-50 everything. It could be your offer or your actual positioning. Sometimes it could be to do with your actual sales process, that you're not really optimized to close cold leads coming in. And that's all to do with your actual sales capabilities. On the other hand, it could be that you are also sometimes dealing with unqualified leads. To give you a better example is this. Let's say you have a high price point, say about 20K, and you get on a call somebody that's just starting out the business, and let's say you are helping people to generate opportunities and grow their business and add revenue. And let's say your offer is 20K, maybe even 50K. And now you get somebody that just have started, they don't have their offer validated, they don't have savings, they don't have the right money, they also cannot afford to pay for ads, and you get them on a call and you can't close them. Then that would call as an unqualified lead. Sometimes they could have the money, they could have all the right things, but you're just not capable of closing, you don't know how to also handle objections, and end of the day, they're just not being converted into actual clients. Solution framework here is if you have offer, authority, trust, sales process equals a client. Okay? Offer is you have a good offer. Authority means you could have a channel like YouTube, which actually showcases your authority, or a VSL. And then with that authority, you build automatically trust that can go into the sales process and that can convert into actual client. What I want you to do is ask yourself this: can prospects clearly understand what I do, who I help, the outcome I create, and why I'm different for most of them? If not, you have a conversion actual problem, not a leads problem. Section number 3 is this: delivery problem. Many businesses grow until delivery actually breaks. Then growth completely stops, or most of the times business just becomes broken. Okay? Symptoms are these: clients complain, you have a lot of refunds, poor retention, and team confusion. Common cause is this: there's no systems, everything lives inside your head, which is the founder's head. So the solution for this is you could have client signs, onboarding, delivery SOPs, so means system operational processes, QA process, and reporting. The goal isn't here to work harder to fulfill all your clients. The goal is to create consistency. You want to remove yourself sometimes for fulfillment if you can. If not, build around systems so later on you have a documented process that you can actually train somebody inside of that process. Okay? So then it's much easier to train. If you don't have training processes, you don't have SOPs, you don't have a roadmap of how you fulfill your clients, it's really hard to hire somebody and tell them to fulfill your clients because you don't have a process that you can actually place them in. Because if you have consistency creates retention, and retentions even create more growth. Section 4 is this: decision problems. Okay, this is the most overlooked area and often the most expensive area. Symptoms are these: constantly changing strategy, shiny object syndrome, hiring too early, hiring too late, random decisions. Common cause is this: no decision-making actual framework for how you make decisions. There is no data, there's no scorecards. So what ends up happening, you are just basically guessing because you don't have scorecards to look at, you don't have no numbers to look at, you don't have decision-making frameworks. And so most of your decisions are coming randomly from emotion based. So solution framework is this: you have data, you need to get data, then you diagnose the data, you make a decision, you implement, and you review. Great founders don't make emotional decisions. This is like a number one rule for any leader out there. You don't make your decisions based on emotions of what you feel like should be the right actual move currently. You make them based on actual data you have, okay? Because an informed decision is much better than an uninformed decision, because an informed decision means you can go back even if you make a mistake and you can correct that. An informed decision means you're making decisions without really understanding how you can even improve them if you are wrong. So, moving on, the founder trap. Now let's talk about the biggest problem of all. The founder becomes the actual system itself. And this is where most founders sometimes feel like they can scale the business with hours. You can't scale business with your hours. You can't just work harder because you are limited in time. You cannot get more than 24 hours. You cannot get more energy than you currently have. You cannot get more deep work than you currently can get. Okay? So what it looks like, everything depends on you. You close the sales, you solve the problems, you answer the questions, you manage the clients, you make every decision, you probably communicate back and forward, like you're absolutely running the business. You are the main business, right? So the business grows, but freedom disappears completely. So you can have revenue increases, you have more clients coming in, but eventually the freedom has disappeared because now you are slaving to the business itself. And this usually happens eventually when the growth becomes slow, is because the founder becomes the actual bottleneck himself, okay? So the founder dependency test is this. Ask yourself, could my business survive for 30 days without, okay, me closing the sales? Can your business survive without you closing the sales? Okay, yes or no? Me answering the questions, yes or no? Me approving the work, yes or no? Me solving the problems, yes or no? And then I want you to score. If you have one yes, you are trapped. If you have 2 to 3 yeses, you're progressing. So that means slowly you can gradually actually grow the business. If you have all 4 yeses, you can actually be scaling, and you currently are in the scaling phase. If you have 0 yeses, you are currently trapped. If you're like, hey, I can't step back because if I step back, I cannot be, because there's a lot of sales calls generated, I just need to be closing. And it's like, okay, cool, maybe that. If it's like, no, I need to prove the work, I need to fulfill, like I cannot step back, then you are in deep trouble because your entire business is depending on you and you are trapped inside of your business, okay? The 80-20 question. Most founders are solving 10 problems. The best founders only focus on solving 1 problem. Now, ask yourself this. If I could only solve 1 problem in the business over the next 90 days, what would create the biggest increase in actual revenue? You see, the greatest operators ever, you can say Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they would have 18 things, 20 things that they could be doing that day. They only found the 3 most important things, or sometimes even just 1 most important thing that will move the biggest leverage inside of the business. And it takes skill to find the 1 thing. And so that's why you need to keep analyzing what is the 1 thing that will move your business forward. And that's usually the actual bottleneck. That's where your focus should actually go. So the real reason your business isn't growing, it's not because you are lazy, it's not because you're not working hard enough, it's not because you need another strategy, it's because every business has a constraint, okay? You need to understand every business has a constraint. And until that constraint is identified and removed, growth becomes really difficult. So most founders are trying to grow, the best founders are identifying the actual bottlenecks. That is the main difference. The business that scales aren't the businesses that do the most. They are the businesses that focus on the right thing at the right time. Before you buy another course, before you hire another employee, before you launch another campaign or create another product or change your offer, ask yourself this. Is this actually the bottleneck? Or am I just guessing? Okay? Because if it isn't, you will spend time, money, and energy solving problems that doesn't even matter. And it's really, 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 really important to understand this. Okay? It's like, sometimes we are chasing the latest funnel, we are looking for AI tools, we are looking for this latest shiny object in the actual marketplace. When in reality, we need to be actually diagnosing our business to really understand what is the main constraint in the business. Because by removing the constraint, you automatically progress to the next level. Then once you're at the next level, you will have a different constraint. Remove that, you move to the next level. At each given level, you will always have some type of constraint. Before you leave, I want to give you something really special. It took me years of failures, mistakes, lessons, client work, and real-world experience to understand what actually builds a successful business. And no, not the theory type, not the social media advice, not some vague advice I got from a book, but the real actual fundamentals. The things that create predictable growth, strong leadership, scalable systems, and long-term success. So I condensed everything into a single scaling actual roadmap. It shows you exactly what to focus on at every stage of growth, so you stop guessing and start building with actual clarity inside of your business. If you want it, click the Instagram link, it's down below in the description, and DM me the word roadmap, and I will send it to you over personally. And remember this, business don't grow because founders work really hard at it, or because you have to put in more hours. They grow because founders focus on the right things at the right time, at the right stage. See you in my next video.